to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here.
Here.
Gary.
Here.
Dave.
Here.
Debbie.
Here. Any comments from the audience? Anybody? Sam?
I just, if, you could correct the about.
We'll do the
You
minutes.
got it, okay,
Yeah, we'll do the
okay,
minutes.
that was just my comment. Yeah, there's some errors in the minutes.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I got one.
Yeah.
Why, no, this goes to checks, answer me or not, but every month, Festival Foods is on there. Who are we buying food for?
We're training for the fire department.
Really? Why?
Adam, you want to answer that one?
We try to use it as an incentive to get more people to show up for meetings and trainings.
My shop don't buy my food. Where I work, they don't buy my food. That's all.
Go ahead.
Bernice Mercer. I just under the understanding that our clerk is no longer with us, Donna.
Treasurer.
The treasurer.
She resigned last Tuesday.
Okay. Do you have a replacement ready, and if so, was it approved by the board?
That's what we'll be working on tonight.
Okay.
Anybody else? Okay, approval of town board minutes for May 13th, 2019. There have been a few corrections, right, Gary?
Yep.
Bob, we know your name needs to be changed from Steins to
Yeah.
Steiner.
Yes, and I have more on that L under number 9. Gary, do you want to go quick with yours?
I gave most of mine to Tanya already, other than, she missed a period at the end of
8.
8.
So I'm in number 9, L. It starts, I don't think this accurately represents of the discussion. It says fire chief, elected by peers, the board did not approve. I don't believe that was an action item for the board. I think we decided that wasn't an action item for us, so I would just say elected by peers, period. The board will go into closed session in June to evaluate the fire chief's performance. Motion Durfus, and then that'll be Steiner instead of Steins. He's not on the board anymore. Retroactive to January 1st, 2019, and then I believe it needs to say, to appoint Rod Bauer fire chief, period. Otherwise, the sentence to me doesn't make sense. The motion doesn't say what it's for. Just motion retroactive to a date doesn't say what the motion is for.
Correct.
And then finally, motion carried 5-0 by roll call.
What we did was we appointed him retroactive so that his actions were all in place yet, back to the first of the year until his evaluation.
Yep, I agree with that. And I think it should just have his name there, that he was appointed to fire chief.
Okay. Got that, Pen?
Yep.
And I think that was all I had.
Anybody else? Dave?
Appointments under H. That'd be the Joint Marshfield McMillan Plan Commission, and there's only 3 members of that.
We can have as many as we want, but we can only have 3 in voting capacity.
Correct.
So
And
the 3 in voting capacity would be you, Bob, or Steve and Ronnie.
right,
So
former chair who's
just going.
going as a ad hoc.
Anybody else? Gary, did you get your red pen out? Anything else?
No,
You need a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from May 13th with the corrections.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Roll call.
Bob.
Yes.
Russ.
Yes.
Gary.
Yes.
Dave.
Yes.
Debbie.
Yes. Okay, Recorder's Plan Commission, Mr. Mike Joyce.
Hi, Deb, I'm still sitting here.
We had kind of a busy one there. We had Level Properties talking about the rezone. We've all heard about that one. We had a no-show, so we actually tabled that for the next meeting. We approved CSM for Sebastian's, also for the Wenzel Lights. No rezone there. CSM for Ray Fayette, no rezone there. Approved, we did, sent on to you. And then the rezone for Perry Peterson, something that was purchased from Ken Harder. That one we also approved and sent to you guys.
About the Wenzel and Light CSM, you approved that one?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
And I think that's about it. There's that Level's coming up again this next one, so.
Yeah, he wants me to call. So.
Yes. I need a phone number somehow.
Dorothy it might be on that application, is it?
Oh, I guess I could look at that too.
Do you have Darnell Level's phone number by chance? Okay. Since he's not involved, he's got a cell phone number.
See if I can find it.
Yeah. Okay,
And that's about it.
library, Mr. Steiner.
So I've completed my orientation.
Oh, I'm sorry, wait a second, fire department, Alan. I skipped right over you.
All right, for calls, we had 0 fire calls, 3 EMS calls, no motor vehicle accidents, mutual aid, or carbon monoxide calls, or no false alarms. We have a new hire, Tanner Key Michael. He'll be joining EMS group to start. He'll be going through firefighter training this summer. We have 5 members currently that have gone through their Fire 1 class. They've taken their written test, they're waiting on their practical in August. Lori, our captain, has completed Fire Officer 2 and is currently scheduling her state certification test. We are currently demoing at Tango Tango for Marathon County. It's no cost to us, just to help improve our communication with each other and with the county. It's through our cell phones. Due to scheduling conflicts, we will not be meeting with AT&T this month. We're going to try again for next month. Their spiel about their new service they offer to the public service divisions. June year, we participated in Stop, Drop, and Roll, picnic in the park. We had over 250 kids come through. And training for this month, we'll be doing our post testing and possibly a live burn. We're still working out the details on the live burn. We have 2 new EMS or EMTs in the group, Chris Steiber and Tanner Key Michael.
Where's the live burn? Where are you looking at?
I don't have the address on that yet. Ron's still working with the owner of the home.
Oh, okay. Use it for practice?
Yeah, we're gonna try to practice, maybe open up to Stratford, some of the other area departments, do some rescue training, and then at the end, we'll.
I know when they did our place, I think it took them about, 6 weeks they did training on that one? They had fire trucks up and down the road. It was good practice.
Maybe they could do Mummy and Keys.
There you go. Library, Bob.
Yep, so I've completed my orientation with the library director. I'll be attending their monthly meetings. They're the third Tuesday of the month at 7 a.m., I believe. And I will be giving regular reports on what was discussed at those meetings.
Okay. Garbage and recycling, Dave.
Just had 2 inquiries for garbage and recycling containers. Called Dale Martha in advance and taken care of that. And any questions or comments from individuals that are here about recycling or garbage?
I'll go to recycling. The last pickup, there was all kinds of stuff laying on the road. On Cayman, excuse me, I took the dog for a walk. And I don't know, it was windy that night, if it happened, if, somebody's got blown over, or if when they're dumping it, I mean, there was bottles and cardboard boxes.
Sometimes it's a combination of both. It was windy that night because the neighbors all went over the ditch. And that was picked up by the time the truck got there. I've mentioned it several times to the operators that once they tip it up and put it over the top, if it's, depending on which way the wind is blowing, it'll come out of the top. We keep talking about that. It's not only in this township, it's in the other ones too, so. I'll mention it again.
Was there anything interesting at their meeting?
Just set the budget for this year, and that was done. I don't have the report in front of me, but I think we have another year in the contract, and then now that the city of Marshfield has got the containers just like we do, we may be able to, we have to talk, combine with the city of Marshfield to get a better rate. I don't know whether that's possible, or whether they're gonna just deal with the city of Marshfield separately and the municipalities separately.
Okay, I know there was, who was it Stratford or Spencer? One of them put it out for bids for their, because I know that, well, when we got it to begin with, I think all that was available was Advance.
Right. I think they put it out for bids. I know that tire recycling's gonna put out for bids. That's
Okay.
changed hands several times.
Yeah,
But I don't think they got any other interest for the municipalities. I think we got another year contract on it.
right.
Yeah.
Anything to add, Bob?
No.
Okay,
One
or,
question.
oh, and, yes,
We had a bear scatter garbage all over our yard, so that could be another problem. Just saying.
I know you're supposed to have all your containers out by 5 in the morning, but so most everybody puts them out the night before, and
Well, it wasn't even out at the road, it was just in the yard.
okay,
And now we put it in the grass.
okay.
okay, for ordinances, community picnic and buildings and grounds, that'd be me. Buildings and grounds, we did some extra mowings over here, sprayed for weeds, we drive to the ballpark, we fixed the lock. We had the window fixed this morning and it separated. And, we had a jack.
The skylight that was
Oh,
needed?
the skylight I made a phone call for, so Hank is gonna take a look at the skylight and then, expansion, joint that he's gonna look at that one. Adam, 4H, I got a question for you. What did they do in order for use of the building over there? I mean, when they used over here, they always gave to the community, but I don't know what they're doing over there, which is curious. Do they work for Fall Fest, or is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I kind of thought so, but I wasn't sure. Struts Pit, I have the draft on that, so if anybody wants to see it. It's not the approved minutes, but if somebody wants to look at that, I have it here. The flowers that have all been planted, Clyde Winnie planted some. Dorothy planted quite a few of them in honor of Lyman Olson. She's been doing the watering, her and Mary Ortell, I believe, did that. I'd like to thank them for that. Vince Weber passed away. We went and sent him flowers on behalf of the town and the fire department. The treasurer retired last Tuesday. Rod had to work tonight. The fuel barrel out here, there's a process in order to get rid of that. What do we want to do? Because we don't use it anymore.
That's if we don't use it, the gas.
No.
Diesel is usually used.
I think we should just get rid of it. And-
Sell it?
And if down the road, we bought another 1 ton or something that took gas, I guess we could
I mean,
go in and
keeping
fill
it
it
just-
out wider.
There's a process to get rid of it. You have to go through the state on that one. And Tanya was gonna check on that. She hasn't gotten, nobody's got back to her yet on that deal. And then we got, so think about what you wanna do with that thing. Find out what the process is. If we can sell it, fine, or otherwise we'll have to dispose of it. Take the pump off, sell it. 'Cause, wasn't it you, Dorothy?
Yeah, those pumps are pretty expensive.
Yeah. Well, I seen as a matter of fact, I was looking on Facebook tonight, and they had a fuel barrel for sale, aluminum one, and I don't know what this is, with a pump on it for $500.
Yeah, but the pumps are pretty pricey.
So, something to think about.
I know the thing with the gauges is pretty much, I mean, the plastic's all gone on it. I don't know if that's part of the pump or not.
I don't know. Anybody have any questions?
The building and grounds,
Yes?
lights that don't work, that the ballast are shot on, and two up above,
Oh, I
in
know,
front of the
Tony went down
sinks.
and get those, and I didn't.
No, or
Lights.
if you want to buy something, or, you know, Mike said he could get them two for, you know, 11-inch for 24 something,
Why don't you just do that?
25,
Why don't you
or go to a 14-inch, they're LEDs.
You're my maintenance man, why don't you just do that?
Well,
Okay,
okay.
two lights, Gary.
I can tell the order, yeah, you wanna stay with, that's like an 11-inch up there. It's a all in one, I don't know for how many years they haven't worked, we didn't even know if it was actually a light or if it was something
Decoration.
for a fan or something, because
Yeah.
there was only one light switch.
We'll put you in charge of that.
Okay.
All right, Gary, Highway Committee.
Well, Pat says he's got all the gravel roads done except Fox, unless he got that done.
We did it today.
He did it today, okay. They should be all done, and he said all the weights are down, weight limits, except he keeps them up north of Galvin, on Galvin north of C, and Stat south of 97. And I asked him why, and he said, well, so they don't get beat up. But, I mean, the highway committee is gonna look at all these roads to see which ones we even wanna keep posted.
Well, we have to keep stop posted because of the bridge, am I correct?
That's correct. Now, that's a county posting there
Okay.
for the bridge. Then on, we got a culvert issue which we'll be addressing later, but we have two big 5-footers up on Oak Lane that are all rusted out. Bottom of it's folded back, and had a guy from the county, and they figure it's gonna be 40 to 50,000 to replace them two. So that's gonna be a bill coming up. Probably till next year when we can get cost sharing with the county on that. Ditching, we got lots of ditching. Our culverts, culvert over there where I live is rusted out, there's a hole in the top of the road, the ends are all rusted out, and I asked Pat, I said, well, how often do we inspect our culverts? And the answer was, we don't really, when they need replacing, we replace them. Well, we got a highway committee now, and I think that's something we're gonna have to look at, along with ditching. I mean, we have a real problem. Guy replaced a culvert up there on Galvin. Pat was supposed to ditch that. I got on him today again, and he said he'd get up there and get it done. We got some over on Lincoln, the guy just bought the land, and he wants the ditches on both sides of there, and the ditch going down Man, he wants them cleaned out to get rid of this water problem. And that is sort of a problem area in there, but I told him we'd get in there as soon as we can, get that taken care of. And then we got a place over on St. Joe's and Penny Lane that is in dire need. I mean, we got cattails that are probably 5 feet tall in that ditch. And I was told, well, they've been there for years. Well, I think if the ditching is done right, they shouldn't be in there. And so I'm gonna have him clean them all out too. And I see one of the townships did just advertise to have all their roads ditched. I don't remember which one it was though. We also may have to look at getting some of our roads, well, that's later on to striping. So that's all oh yeah, we had, get a battery for the tractor and hydraulic hose for the cutter. Started leaking. That's all I have for highway.
Gary, question, can you clarify what you meant about the gravel roads being done?
They grade them.
Okay, so Foxfire Lane has not been graded. When it rains, there are potholes there that are the size of small ponds. I think you could go fishing there. So it'd be great if Foxfire Lane could be,
That is a gravel road?
yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's gravel, I don't know how you qualify the definition, but it's unpaved and there's gravel on it. And it's a town road, there are two properties that abut.
Yeah, is that the township? That's not private, is it?
It's not private.
Okay, I'll have to, she told me they were all done.
Any other questions for Jared? Okay, for the newsletter, anybody have any comments at that? I'm looking about mid-July to have your letter done. Anybody? Okay, Finance Committee, Russ, you're the supervisor, but I think you guys put John Cockle on as chair, am I correct?
Yes, he's gonna be the chair.
Okay, Don, we need a report from you.
Well, we have nothing to report because we did not have a meeting.
Okay.
It wasn't posted in time, so there was not an official finance meeting last month.
Okay. Clerk's report.
It's in your packet. I know what the clerk did, I'm just going in. What does she have? She got, Ramsey County sanitary permits issued, and then zoning for Ottman, Jeff and Carol Leak, sanitary Vince Weber, sanitary Justin and Tiffany Whitman, weight limit permits, pavilion rentals, 20 rentals to date from May through August, and she's got varied office hours due to vacation, they're posted on the door. The week of June 10th, she's out of the country, I'm the deputy clerk, working extended hours next week. And later on in June through July 4th, we will be in the country but out of the state working remotely. Back in the office on July 5th. She usually reads that. Financial? No, maybe you need to approve this one first. How do you do that?
Read the text.
She does have a reconciliation. Beginning balance, $52,439.18. Receipts are $36,140.90. Disbursements, $65,647.53. Outstanding checks, $21,032.22. Ending balance of $1,899.52. Balance on the tax account is $339,589.07. Park savings, $6,660.54. Fire department fall fest, $1,516.37. Public works CD 1, $59,096.50. Public works CD 2 for the bridge, $59,669.05. $699.05. Yes, that. Ending cash balance, $468,461.05.
Motion to approve the clerk's financial statement.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
roll call.
Bob?
Yes.
Russ?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Debbie?
Yes. Move for the tax. Or did you want to look at
No,
that?
I want it when we get to the checks.
Okay, then we have the text. No.
Well, I see a check wired for $1.04, and then one later on, and I was wondering why they weren't combined. And I would, what would we get a bill for $1.04?
Looking at the bills right now.
$16,450. $16,477.
476, is complete, Violet Enterprises.
Yep, I'm line off.
150.
4
16,450.
50 for $1.04. Like, what's up for 99 cents?
Good question. What is it, check number 16?
450.
Well, it's $1.04 because they're the credit. So the bill was $32.23 with a credit of $31.19. Oh,
Well, I guess my point was if they're gonna write out, and just write one check.
Probably got it in late or something, she probably
Total.
already had it in.
Are they both the Weiler Enterprise? Because one is
Yes.
Weiler Transportation.
Right, yeah, they both are. 16476 is also laid out to Weiler Enterprise.
Yes, it is.
Surprise.
I don't see the credit there, but this is the statement. So it was this, and then there's a credit listed in the, on the receipt, and then this is the other one. This one's later, this one came in after the statement, so this one's not on that, that's why she wrote two.
And at 16457, Fire Smart Promotions.
That's for our, public safety, our handouts for the kids, for the stock up and roll events we do. That's for both of them through the year. That money comes out of our 2% dues.
I know last month I saw several expenditures, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I was under the understanding that anything that was over $1,000 had to go through the board before it was spent. Last month there were several for batteries and now this. I mean, if that is what's supposed to be happening, I would hope they start going to the board before they go ahead and
What did they all buy? That's the one for 1,800, isn't it?
Yeah, that has, plastic fire helmets, plastic badges, coloring books, crayons, pencils.
Okay.
So how long is that gonna last for then?
That's for the year, so it came, we had some leftovers from last year, so that's what covered us during Dairy Fest this year, so it'll cover us for get fired up in the fall, and then Dairy Fest for next year.
That's all I had a question on. No, I did have one more. Wood County Highway, is that still salt bill? Number 16480 for 1946?
Probably.
Salt, 2 salt and 1 cold patch mix.
Only a ton of cold patches going through
Quantity is 3,200
for that bill. But
for
there's-
cold patch.
Right.
And then the salt, one salt is 16,440, the other is 1960.
I know he's getting about 220 a ton. Most of that
Why
is
just
bad road.
if that was for salt, it must take them a while to get it billed out because we haven't got any salt since
The
April.
invoice is dated May 22nd.
They're
Let's
just,
just
The
keep it.
county typically goes the month after you get it.
okay, that's all I have.
Need a motion to approve the check?
I'll make the motion to approve the checks. 16,436 through 16,482 and 4 APs.
Need a second?
Second.
Roll call vote?
Bob,
Yes.
Russ,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Debbie.
Yes. Treasurer's report, we don't have one. We're approved checks. We'll move down to approve the liquor license for Belvedere Supper Club and Resource Recovery and approve operator's license for the club. Belvedere Supper Club, it's a renewal. Resource Recovery Team is a renewal. The applications are in and paid for, I'm sure, otherwise they wouldn't be on here.
Yes, and she also did the, publication for it. I just can't get my fingers on it. It's here somewhere. And the operator license, there's 2 for Resource Recovery and 2 for the fire department.
Okay. Nobody for the Belvedere?
No, he typically makes them come in on their own, he doesn't usually start those with his application.
And Town of McMillan, are we waiving those again? Their license?
We have in the past, I guess that's a few, right?
Yeah. Well, let's do the liquor license application first. We need a motion to approve.
Make that motion. Approve the liquor license for Belvedere Resource Recovery Team.
And a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Bob,
Yes.
Russ,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Debbie.
Yes. And for the operator's license for the 2 for the Town of McMillan, I'll make the motion to approve and waive the fee.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Bob,
Yes.
Russ,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Debbie.
Yes. And then we need approval for the other 2 for resource recovery team. Need a motion?
I'll move to approve those for the Wenzel brothers.
Second?
I'll second that.
Bob or Gary?
Bob,
Yes.
Any discussion?
I made the motion. I seconded it. Made the motion.
You made the motion, Bob seconded. Ray?
well, I put Gary down, what did you say that?
And then they're brothers?
Yeah, you did.
No, I made the motion for the Bob.
Okay.
Roll call vote,
Bob,
Yes.
Russ,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Debbie.
please. Yes. Okay. No bids. Where's that topic? What do you want to do?
Well, on our highway meeting, we sort of decided we're not gonna do anything till we make sure all the ditching is done properly. I guess as far as the bid, we can accept the bid, but we don't know at this time if we're gonna recommend blacktopping grade. The majority of the committee feels that that's not high priority. But I would make the motion to accept the bid.
If we choose to.
Right.
I'll need a second.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
guess the reason the Drake one was on there was on the capital improvement program for the last 10 years or more. So that's my comment.
Do you know when they did that, if they did any ditching along there too? When they-
It's all prep, all the culverts were replaced, I believe there was five or six of them. Breaker on the base course,
All
were needed,
cross culverts.
correct.
Did any of those wash out last June or whatever it was? Was there someone there, or was it a?
There was, yeah,
I think one
did, like.
washed out
That's not
that
gonna
they
be-
replaced
Okay.
Yes,
just before that, not too long.
right.
I think, did you put an extra one in this time?
No, there was always two in there, the plastic culvert turned up and flooded, so.
Any other discussion? Okay.
Bob,
Yes.
Russ,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Deb.
Yes. Crack ceiling, Gary?
No, I don't have. We'll take the low bid. Was that Lakes?
Which one was that, Patty?
That was
Should be
nice.
Gary. Lights?
It was a little confusing. You know, I mean, price-wise was there, but we wanted to compare, you know, the roads because it was, you know, some were from here to there and the other one was from here to there to there.
So you went through each one and decided that that was the one you were gonna take, or did you take some and leave some, or?
That what you were looking for?
Yeah, that we were gonna take the Lakes. And, see, Lakes didn't give for Man,
Correct.
they didn't give for Gilead, and they didn't give for Cayman,
Because
because they're beyond,
beyond crack.
right?
Did the
And,
other one do it though? The other one, did they do this?
Cayman they did, I believe.
Okay.
And I too have a call in, and within a couple of weeks, I'm gonna talk to the guy from Farner and get their idea on if they possibly can either chip seal over that or that black stuff they use in the city, slag. But I know that I would not put anything on Cayman till in ditches. I mean, or lack of ditches. On the south end is lack of ditches, it's almost level, and that culvert would have to be replaced because that is shot.
When was that put in, Russ?
And in the
That'd be in
90s.
the 60s.
No, the one on Birch and Cayman. Yeah.
Yes,
Even, yeah.
yeah, 60s.
It would have been in
It would
the
have
late
been-
60s.
No, it would have been in the 90s when they put
That's what
Cayman
I
in.
thought, 'cause I know when I went to the, oh, I'm sorry, yeah, you're right. No, that was
Because was that under the new road, that wasn't under the new road ordinance, and the other thing, that when people put their house on, they wanna put the ditch, and so sometimes they fill the ditch.
That's a problem all over, I've been
So-
driving around.
And then once the utilities get the ditch, well, then nobody wants to dig them out, because then you're in the utilities, so. There's the quandary.
Well, it's even like over by the pavilion over here.
Right, that should
is
be,
a mess.
that should be ditched here
Yeah.
too.
But we got
I
a
noticed that the
gas
other
line
day.
under there, so
It's
to
like,
go
well,
over
you
there
go-
and ditch it out with the equipment,
You call diggers outline and have them mark it.
well, we know where it is. It's gonna have to be dug out by hand.
Good luck.
I mean, that's what it is.
Well, I mean, you should be able to go in there with that cruise there, is my feeling.
But let me know when you're gonna do that.
I'm not the operator. I'm the guy who's got to prod him to get in and do it.
Well, there's a difference between prodding and getting in there and doing it and running the utilities, and that's why it hasn't been done.
Yeah.
I mean,
We had
I wouldn't
talked
want
about-
to be in that operator's.
I think Digger's Hotline needs to be called first and find out exactly where it is,
Yeah.
you know, and then go from there, I guess.
And you gotta find out how deep it's buried.
Pardon?
Find out how deep it's buried.
Right, well, we should be able to find out with the first scoop, right?
Your phones are, usually the gas and the electric is buried where they're supposed to be, but phones, I mean, them are sometimes only 4 inches down.
They're gonna do what they want.
I mean, mine was tore out 3 different times that I know of down the road.
Yeah. Okay, let's get back to crack sealing, and you need a motion for that, or did he make a motion? Sorry.
It said that maybe the highway committee would suggest taking the lowest bid.
So we need a motion.
But you forgot to say I didn't.
I make the motion, take Lakes bid for crack sealing.
And we need a second?
That's it.
Any discussion?
Bob,
Yes.
Russ,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Debbie.
Yes. Under new business, we're gonna do the appointment of the treasurer. I looked at previous applications that have been through ad hoc already. And I would like to appoint Patty Ron as our treasurer. She's worked with us for 2 years before, did a good job. So I'd like to make that motion. She would be starting on the 17th, I believe it was, isn't it? 'Cause
Yes.
she can't do the deputy clerk and treasurer at the same time. So I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
And make the, that term is contingent from
Now until
May
May.
until May, not,
Now until May, so we can get
yes,
back on track.
for the next appointment, yes.
Now, one day beyond that. Got that, Patty?
One day beyond, what date in May? You didn't give a date in May.
It'd be the meeting in May.
Yeah, the first meeting after May.
Well, that one year appointment?
Yeah, for next year.
First meeting after the election.
Were they 1-year appointments?
Yeah. You can do up to 3 years, but we need to get it back on track. Because, you know, we've got appointments in November and all over the place, so.
So is the treasurer a job that gets announced or advertised so that if there's someone who might want to apply for it, then they,
We had
So-
applicants before that were interested that already went through ad hoc.
okay, so you already have some people, but when did that happen? When were those applications received?
Actually, quite a while ago, when Joe had it for, then I got phone calls actually after I became chair from, what was it, Laura? I think her name was, that she was still interested if there was ever going to be an opening, so, and then from Patty. So I definitely looked at those two, so.
What are the requirements for posting open positions for municipal government?
I don't know, do you know what that is?
There's nothing in the law, it's just a practice.
Okay.
Any discussion?
I would have appreciated a call from the chair, because I didn't know until now, so.
Well, I didn't know we were supposed to discuss that before our meeting. That's why we're here.
Okay, that's fine.
I didn't call anybody.
All I got is an email from you saying that Donna resigned.
That's all I had at that time.
Why not? She retired.
She retired. Tanya said she came in, dropped her stuff on the desk, and said, I retired, effective immediately, and walked out the door.
Does seem like we had a bigger process last time when there was an opening. I think, Joe, you were the head of a committee to look at applications for clerk/treasurer.
I don't know.
Last time that this happened, the exact same thing happened in the clerk position. So, it happens.
There was a
The
group of
process was that we took in applications, we contacted the committee that I had put together, the ad hoc committee, contacted, I believe it was 3 of the possible, I think there was 4 or 5 that had applied. And we picked out of the resumes, we chose what we thought were the most likely candidates, interviewed them, and made our recommendation.
I know when we're gonna hire somebody, I know what my preference would be is that there's an announcement. And, I mean, if prior folks want to be interested, call them and say, are you still interested? But that people know, and certainly the 5 of you ought to know who you're gonna hire before you hire them. And ought to be some discussion. And it appears that some people didn't know, but I think I heard a lot about transparency, but I'm not seeing a lot with this hire. And that's no reflection on the treasurer, by the way.
Well, she's
But-
not the treasurer at this point.
Well, yeah, but, and again, no reflection on her, and I don't want it to come across that way. But I think if you're gonna hire folks, you probably ought to have a little tighter way of doing things and a little more transparent way of doing things so that everybody knows, and if somebody else is interested, you have the benefit of all the available folks that might be interested in working for you. Because there might be somebody you like better in a certain job. This job, maybe not. Another job, maybe.
Okay. Any other discussion? Dorothy?
This can go back another couple years ago when we all sat here in this audience and our former chair, she introduced Michael as the candidate. He did his interview right there in front of all of you. None of you guys knew he was going to be here that night. And you hired him that night. So I don't, pointing fingers at one board over another isn't gonna work. You've got the opportunity to hire somebody that's good, somebody that knows the town business. And I think the transparency is here. I watched 2 hires that way.
Well, watching 2 hires that way doesn't make it right.
That doesn't make it
Correct.
right. That wasn't a good process.
And just for the record, I don't know what happened with the prior board, nor do I really care. I wasn't here. I'm only concerned about what happens today since I got here. So, and I think there's a certain way to do things, and especially when you're doing hiring, and you should do it the right way. And it's simple, and again, no aspersion against this board, that board, or any other board. It's just the right way to do things.
And if we had the situation where we would have gotten notice, that would have made a difference to us.
Well, then you tag along for a month until you figure it out. I'm sure y'all can figure it out.
Anything else? Patty, roll call.
Bob,
Yes.
Russ,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Debbie.
Yes. Appointment of fire chief. Rod had to work tonight, so I would like to extend his appointment till next month where we can have an employee evaluation, and I'd like to make that motion. Can I get a second on it?
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Yes. Debbie, what's the process for the evaluation?
We have to go into closed session and evaluate the performance of the fire chief.
What kind of information will we have on which to evaluate the fire chief?
Information that we have to evaluate them.
Criteria.
What criteria, what
Well, we have our
documentation?
bylaws, for one thing. don't know if you've ever seen them, have you? Probably not,
Bylaws for the fire, no, I have not.
okay.
Not
Go
that I know of.
through, yeah, what he is, should be doing, that type of thing.
Usually when there's a performance evaluation, one solicits information from peers, from supervisors, from people that work for the fire chief. Will that be part of the process?
Probably the board will be taking care of that.
Do you have a process?
Not necessarily.
Then you have a problem.
We can have a process in a month.
Probably be a good idea.
Or
You're doing
you-
employment evaluations without a process, you're in a bad spot.
It is right up here.
Who are you?
I'm Lynn Werkheiser, I live in Tom Niehouse's old property,
I don't know that.
Chargers.
116-186 Riverside Road.
Yes,
Okay, talking about a chief. Where are you gonna find a chief that has that much experience and knows our department as well as he does?
all we're doing is an employee evaluation.
Yeah, I know, but, okay,
And
we
when
have
CFP has
bylaws
concerns,
that were put in place, and you can talk to Adam, probably 8, 10 years ago. And I know you're gonna evaluate it, but who else can handle it? Who else is capable?
nobody on our fire department,
Okay,
nobody qualifies on our fire department.
that's exactly right.
Yep, we already know this.
Okay.
But we could still we still need to sit down and talk with Rod. I've had a few complaints, I'm sure he has some complaints. We need to work together, so we need to sit down and talk about it.
You realize that I only had 31 years in there, and you know how many complaints we had in 31 years? A lot.
I understand that,
And you know what?
but we'd like to correct some of this too.
But complaints don't seem to be, I think you have two separate issues. I think you have an evaluation issue,
Mhm.
and I think you have a complaint issue. So I think you have two different issues.
I think we need to.
They may
sit down.
join at some point,
Mhm.
but you kind of have two different things going on, and you, for any
Well,
employee,
in
you
order
need to have an
to
evaluation.
figure out how we're going to work together, we need to sit down and talk about it.
well, that makes sense, but I think if you're gonna, I think for employees, you need an evaluation process. Any employee, and it doesn't matter whether it's a road or a clerk or fire chief or whoever it might be, you have to have a process in place to follow. And if you don't have a process, you're in a bad place.
Any other discussion with the board members? Sam?
I just want to offer that it's a part of the reason for having a board is to be able to tap into the expertise that those people bring to the board. And I do know that there are members on this board who have a lot of experience with performance appraisals and employee evaluations. So you could work together with the board to develop a rubric that would be fair and reasoned, and all of the board members would be aware of it before the next month, so that they can all make sure to participate.
Well, they've all been aware of it for a month already, so.
But we still have no evaluation.
Are they aware of the evaluation process? It didn't sound like they were aware of any evaluation process, and in fact, there wasn't one, or there isn't one.
Okay, let's move on with our meeting.
I believe they've done them in the past.
Yeah.
I've never been involved with one, but I know they've done them, and how they've done them, that I don't know.
Well, that's probably a good thing that your town attorney can help you with.
It's in the policy.
It's, yeah, I know it is. It's also in our policies and procedures manual, so we'll be able to move on from there. Dave, you've done evaluations, correct? Any other discussion?
What are we voting on?
The motion was to extend the appointment of the fire chief until the evaluation at next month's board meeting.
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Debbie?
Yes. Okay, next item is the Cellcom bill. I believe that is the one where we're, Ronnie, do you still have your phone? Do you still have a cell phone for the town? You do. Do you use it at all?
When Pat calls me, yes.
Which is, how often? Because I think Tanya told me last month there was like 5 minutes on there that you're using it for. And I was just wondering, is it necessary to have it, or can you call your house?
Whenever he calls, that's when I use it.
It's not a huge expense, but it, got the bill, Patty? Yeah, I think, I don't see any minutes on here for that one, do you?
There's no minutes, we still get a $20 charge.
How much is it?
It's only a $20 charge, but if we're not using it. I just don't know if it's necessary to keep it.
Does Josh have one?
Josh?
Troutman?
No.
No, he doesn't. Well, I didn't know, I know they approved Rod and Josh to help him when needed, not too long ago. And I didn't know if he had one or not.
The phones that we have are Pat, Rod, and Tanya, and then Ronnie's got one, but it's not really being used at all. I was just wondering if it's necessary. It's up to you guys. Want to leave it there? Fine.
I don't understand what the phone, what's the phone for?
Well, when Ronnie was more active and working, am I correct, Ron? Then Pat would call him to come to work. But now it's more of a part-time position, called in very seldom, so can he call your house without it being a problem? Ron,
That's it, what?
can he call your house without it being an issue to come in and help?
Once in a while, most of the time he calls my cell.
Okay.
Not, you know, sometimes yes, sometimes no.
And
So,
we've got, what, 3 part-time employees? We got Rod and Josh and Ryan, correct?
Gene for Paul.
Or Jean, yeah. And Jean doesn't have a phone either. So we haven't supplied anybody else with a phone.
We need the road guy for $20. We need the road guy for $20.
He doesn't plow.
Hmm?
Ronnie
He doesn't plow at all.
Well,
It's
I
just a
mean,
very occasional.
yeah. You need help, you need help, I don't know, is it worth $20? I think it is.
Well, I can see if it was being used, but it's really not.
No. You only need it, so you don't need it to need it.
Well, last year when we had wash up and it was used quite a bit.
Yeah, but then are we gonna supply Josh Troutman with a phone and Jean and?
Or you can take that one phone and move it around where you need it.
Right.
Well, you don't know. Tanya was asking me about it, so I put it on here. So what do you wanna do?
Well, my guess is if we're not using it,
Eliminate it?
might as well eliminate it.
What do you have for a treasurer?
Instead of guessing whether it's true, why don't we start taking data now? Maybe start taking, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
what about just starting to take some data monthly or look back over 6 months instead of, I know, 1 month's data?
Well, that's what we already looked at, and it just hasn't been getting used a lot. My suggestion is to give that phone to the treasurer, because she has none at this point,
Why does the treasurer need a phone?
for taxes especially.
More so dog licensing throughout the year.
Yeah. Treasurer would need a phone first. We've always had a treasurer for the phone, but I think Donna just used her own cell phone. Otherwise, we've always had a cell phone for the treasurer.
Yeah, I think Steve had one.
Right, well, so did Ann, I mean, all the way back.
Let's move on.
Well, we need to figure out what we're gonna do with it.
Maybe it's not really a board issue, maybe it's kind of an executive issue, I don't know.
Well, we're the ones that have to make the decision. We are the executive body. Well, I'll make a motion to move that phone to the treasurer.
I guess that makes more sense if the treasurer would use it more, so I'll second that.
Any more discussion?
I just feel like I don't have enough information to vote.
Patty?
Bob,
I'm gonna abstain.
Russ,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Dave,
Abstain.
Deb,
Yes. Okay, Katie Rice was hired last year to type up our comprehensive plan, but there were never any terms with her employment. So what I'd like to put out there is she needs to use one of the laptops in order to do this, and to set her wage also at $14 an hour. I believe that's all the part-time are getting.
Who's
Katie Rice is right there. Carolyn hired her last year, but,
She just didn't know her last name.
yeah, and she wants to, she'll be working for the plan commission to type up the comprehensive plan, because that needs to be done, and to do some filing, I think, that they wanted, am I correct?
yes.
And we need to supply her with one of the computers, which we do have an extra one.
How many hours is that you're looking at?
I have no idea how much that's gonna take. Do you? It's a book.
It is a big book, and I have not started doing all the changes yet because I haven't had the computer to use.
Right. But I know Carolyn had hired her last year, but we were waiting to get the laptop for her, and Donna was gonna give it to her, I believe, after March.
After March 15th, when she said
Done
she'd
with
be done
dog
with dog
license or
licenses by
whatever.
then.
So now we just need to get that going, because that plan needs to be typed up with all the changes in it. So I'd like to make that motion for $14 an hour and the computer for Katie Rice for plan commission, doing the comprehensive plan. And filings. And I need a second.
I'll make that second. I have a question. How long is this anticipated to be a short term?
Right. Correct.
Yes. As soon as I get the go-ahead in the computer, I'll be working on it.
And then when that's done and the filing we want done, then that's gonna be done. It'll be done. All right.
Anticipated length,
Do you have any idea?
6 months, a year? I mean, I
I was
guess,
looking at
it-
more 3 months.
Yeah.
I'd like to have it done.
okay, because, I mean, that would be part of the terms of the employment.
If you wanted to make it 6 months, then that way
You for sure have it all there with
it'll for sure be
pictures
done
and-
by then.
How do you know the number of hours she's working?
We don't know how many hours it's gonna
How many
take.
hours is, you're gonna pay her $14 an hour.
Mhm.
How do you know how many hours she's working on?
We don't. We're gonna have to trust that she's gonna be, typing up the comprehensive plan that we're asking her to do. It's a book that she has to type up.
We don't have any idea how many hours the highway people are gonna work either. Just, you know, when they need help, Pat, call somebody to come and help.
Did we
punch it in, or?
Is this in the budget?
Come out of the plan commission's budget. Well, I would guess that she was hired last year, so
You probably just track it by the time she's on the computer, pretty simple.
yeah, that would be hard to do.
If you'd rather, I'll come up here and work so you can track my time, if that would make
It
it.
makes all these people feel better, you know?
I'll come up and work here in the office and you can track my time then,
Okay.
instead of taking it home.
So my question is, if we'll be buying a computer for someone that we're looking at.
We're not buying a computer, we
Oh,
have an
that's what I
extra one.
thought I heard you
Okay.
say, okay.
One
Thank you
that's
for
already-
clarifying that.
I'm just gonna get to use one that's already here in the.
Right.
In the township.
Yep. We're not buying you one, Katie, sorry.
I have a good one, I don't need another one.
Very simple.
Any more discussion on?
Just to clarify, I don't think anyone's suggesting that you need to work here, at least I'm not suggesting
I'm
that you
not
need to
either.
work
If
here.
people would be more comfortable, I don't.
It's not a question of trust, it's a question of having maybe a maximum number of hours per week or per month that a person works, just so there are some guidelines. That'd be my suggestion, but we can,
I really just wanna jump into it and get it done, so the hours should
Minimal would be
be,
my
well,
guess.
they should be all up pretty much at one time.
No overtime.
You do realize that there's no holiday pay with this, and,
I wanted a vacation.
holiday, vacation, overtime, you know,
It is, I understand that.
okay.
It's just part-time, temporary,
I
until
know.
I get the project done.
Any other discussion?
Do you want to amend your motion to create that term?
Sure.
Okay.
Not to exceed.
Will you second?
Yep, second.
Bob?
yes.
Russ?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Debbie?
Yes. Okay, the CSM for Wenzel and Light, plan commission approved that. I'll do these one at a time.
Where's CSM?
Certified survey map. Bernie? They're not in there.
Need a motion?
I'll move that we accept the certified survey map between Bernie Wenzel and Lakes Green Acres Inc.
I have one question on
And
that.
I need a second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Is this for 6 or 10 acres? It says 6, and I thought it was changed afterwards to 10.
It made it into a full,
Oh, made it into 10.
and it is still farm.
What they did is that they shut us too close to the bottom.
You want to see the map?
We got a copy.
We got it.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Vote?
Bob?
Yes.
Russ?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Debbie?
Yes. Alice Sebastian, the CSM for that one. We're giving 2 acres to Dodge, her son,
There's two.
right?
One is Alice and then
And
one
that
is
one is
Bernie.
for Alice Sebastian's son, Don.
Right,
Yeah, so we're doing Alice first.
yeah.
So I need a motion for the Alice Sebastian CSM.
I'll make the motion to approve Alice Sebastian and CSM.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Bob?
Yes.
Russ?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Debbie? Yes. The next one is the Alice Sebastian son Don CSM. That was approved also? Okay.
What does that mean, so they can sell it, or what does that mean?
Certified survey map. Dorothy, you want to explain it? Or Mike?
What they're doing is dividing it. They need CSM to do this.
Dividing land? Well, it's her own land, what they're
It's
doing.
her own land, but she's given part of it to
Her
her son.
son
So
gets
it's kind of
split.
a division.
Oh. And then instead of, it goes to rural residential rather than rural estate. And that's kind of your division between exclusive ag, rural residential, which is more of your community type, like up on where the horse farm is on 97, that section right in there is our changes the status.
We get a motion on that? No. I need a motion on this one.
I'll move to approve the CSM of Alice Sebastian's son, Don.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Bob?
Yes.
Russ?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Debbie? Yes. Okay, real estate property.
Move to adopt the certified survey map for Ray Fate property.
You have a second?
Presented by the planning
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Bob?
Yes.
Russ?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Dave?
commission. Yes.
Debbie? Yes. Then we have the resolution for the Siegfried and Alice Sebastian properties. Do you have that?
There's another CSM here that's not on your agenda. But according to the planning commission report, they were approved by them.
Who's that?
Harold Peterson.
We don't have that one. I don't have it on here. I never seen it. Did you? Anybody?
That was the, yeah, okay, for the plan commission, right?
Right, in their report, they said they approved it.
Right. But we didn't do copy, it's not on the agenda.
I'll have to wait till next month. Okay, what is the resolution for the zoning?
Yeah, that's the reason.
And plan commission approved that?
That was a rezone.
Pardon?
That was a
That's a
rezone.
rezone,
Okay, and you guys approved that?
correct?
Need a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the resolution for the Siegfried and Alice Sebastian properties.
Need a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Bob?
Yes.
Russ?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Debbie?
Yes. Okay, next item on the agenda is the sign posts. Those posts that were taken out for the roads and fire numbers. Pat's is gonna have an overabundance. He's already talked to Larry Seahafer, and anything over and above what Pat doesn't need, we'd like to donate to the Snowmobile Club. They said they would take all the signs off with the posts, so Pat doesn't have to do any of that. So whatever he doesn't want, to just donate. So I'll make that motion to donate excess signs to the Snowmobile Club.
That's the street signs? Real tall ones that the street signs were on?
You just told me signs.
Or the short.
The posts. Am I correct?
With the number on it.
Or the ones that pull it out with the numbers on?
Oh, the ones, the fire numbers?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the street sign ones.
No, my
Because I know some of them are still out there.
Right,
And
but,
Pat was supposed to be getting me a list so we can get a hold of the people.
but they said they're gonna have an overabundance of those poles.
Yeah,
left over.
that's what
So I need a second on the motion.
Second?
Any discussion? Bob?
Yes.
Russ?
Yes.
Gary?
yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Debbie? Yes. Okay, go back to you, Gary. We got the Oak Lane culvert.
Yeah, we got a culvert up on 116281 Old Plain, and the township put it in quite a few years ago, and the top of it is shot. Pat doesn't use it because they got grass on top of it, so the original purpose, he's not using it. I guess the town of Old Plain turns around in there yet, but they're unwilling to help with the cost. The guy would like to keep it in. He uses it once in a while. He said he'd be willing to share part of the cost. But in all other cases, the culvert is the property owner's responsibility. But because we put it in and nobody knows how long ago, my suggestion is to take it out. We'll take it out at our cost. If he wants the culvert back in, Pat says he's turning around in farmer's driveway, he doesn't need it. My suggestion is we'll take it out. If he wants a culvert in there, he can put it in at his own cost. But I wanted to bring it to the board so I can get back to the property owner and give him our decision. It's on the fan off property.
Motion?
Yeah, we need a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we remove the culvert at our cost.
To be replaced by his.
Well, I'll just tell him we'll take it out, and if he wants to put another culvert in, we'll leave the stuff we take off, there for him to reuse. If not, we'll clear that out of there too.
Okay, I'll second that motion. Any discussion?
Yeah, that culvert has come out, it's got a hole in it, top of it, dirt's falling through it, plugging up the ditches. So basically about, the guy wants a culvert, can petition the highway committee and go from there and get it resized.
Bob?
Yes.
Russ?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Debbie? Yes. Okay, extension of Elm Tree Road.
Okay, back where Dave lives at the end of Elm Tree. We've been getting paid for 2,482 feet. And I guess we haven't really been keeping it up. Grass grew over the top of it, and I just became aware of this. Dave is gonna be building on the end of that road, is gonna become his driveway going back to where he's planning his house. Now, he wants the township to put in the road to the end of the half a mile, which would be another 150 feet, at our cost. So, I guess we're gonna have to decide what we wanna do, if we wanna do that at our cost, get the road, the top of it fixed to the 2,482 feet that we're currently getting paid for. So that's what we're gonna have to decide.
What's your recommendation?
The the top would have to be, taken off, and I saw where they were going in, the concrete trucks and everything, and there was only one spot where they sunk maybe 4 inches, and they got a little bit off to the side in that spot. So I think the base underneath it is probably pretty good. And I think Tanya was trying, and I thought Butch, who's on the highway committee, we were down there, was trying to find out why that road never went to a half mile to begin with. And one of the problems back in there is there's 3 different survey stakes. And plus, we're gonna have to put a place for Pat to turn around. The best place, we thought, Dave doesn't own that land, so we'd have to get permission from that guy if we wanted to push snow on his land beyond the right-of-way, which we'd almost have to do.
I did contact Mike, and he said, do whatever you gotta do to make the turnaround. And I can give you his phone number, you can call him, and he would be amenable to that. That would be the north side. That way, if they went to the end, plow operator, grader, mailman, garbage truck, whatever, back up, go to the north. That way the driver always has their rear view mirror on the left side, can back around and head out.
I think the other thing that we need to consider is that, that I'm sure that's a 3-rod road, Dave. They're all 3-rod, but they look like that. So, we want to leave it a 3-rod road to the, if not, I think, otherwise we're going to have to, I don't know what that process is.
That's up to you guys. I'm not gonna, I have a conflict of interest, all I want is.
I'm just saying what I'm saying,
If it's gonna be a reconstruction, then have you done a profile? Have you dug through to see what's in there, underneath there?
No, we don't have anything yet.
And I got 2 calls into Ardinger, and he hasn't returned a phone call. I'm gonna talk to him about that, and also on Birch, the other side of the T. When we were talking about doing that road, I had some questions, and I don't know if I left him a message Monday night, Wednesday. And I thought, well, maybe he's on vacation or something.
We'll have to take a look at it until we get more info.
My recommendation would to leave it a 3-rod road. At this point, if someday, the road needs to be gone further or whatever.
Not as long as I'm
then you could go through the process at that time.
Well, someplace in the records, there's gotta be.
Well, I mean, I guess the markers are there, so we have to just measure it.
Right, and I had the surveyor, the county surveyor was on the phone with me, and, correct me if I'm wrong, on speakerphone.
Yep.
We were. And initially, when we started the project, the stake was in the middle. And we're always told, whenever there's a survey marker or something, you call the county surveyor. So they said, I took care of this last fall, and he moved it over to where the utility post is. And so that base is already covered.
Right, and that's at the half-mile mark. We're not getting funds for that.
Well, if you reconstruct it, you could, on your pacer or whatever.
Yeah, it would, yeah.
You would have to redo that, and then
And
you
do
get
it, yeah.
transportation aids and cost share on
Yeah,
extra.
that said, we don't know who wrote that number down on the pacer. So,
Right.
And they go, state goes by the Pacer report.
And there are
Yeah,
two
sure.
other markers there too. And I had Danny Radesky over there, and he said, well, the first thing you'd have to figure out, and try and find out why there's 3 different marks there.
Little question. Is the road supposed to be a half mile long and somehow it
That-
ended up,
That we
Short.
don't know, that's why
Yeah,
we're,
it would, you know.
is that standard though?
That would be, you know, that was pretty common unless there was a major obstruction to get to the half-mile mark, you know, that they'd have to do a lot of work. But that was the first thing we came up with, you know, why did it stop 200 feet short?
Yeah, that's the one.
Of the half a mile mark.
It should be in the clerk's office, correct?
I have no idea.
And then when you're talking about cost and potential to be able to recoup that cost, presumably there will be a home there built and there'll be property taxes paid every year.
Assuming I'm gonna get taxed, right?
So eventually Dave's gonna pay for that road if it's not paid for by the town.
Well, and you gotta remember, we've taken money for years. And, you know, it's done nothing.
My wife,
Now, this is not a common practice, so.
right.
There's been several roads in the town of McMillan that were built back in, I don't know, maybe CCs, I don't know. But they were through-rod roads, they scraped black dirt off, threw some granite on top of it, and nobody built, nobody used it except the farmer hauling the hay off of his fields. And then until somebody built a home, then you had to go in and reconstruct the whole process and make it a drivable road. And the township, it was a road, you could go drive on it if you wanted. Supposedly not in the spring too much, but you know, it was, took the highway money for it.
I think that road probably was reconstructed in the late 60s or early 70s when they rebuilt it. It wasn't maintained past the farm driveway, and finally my wife got sick of it, and so she's been mowing it to make it look okay. So she's mowed it for the last 40 years.
You just didn't use it.
Pardon me?
You didn't use it.
Yeah, but we wanted to make it look good. And to Mike's benefit, there is one lot there that is left on the north side. A potential building lot, because as you remember, the tennis court came off of there, the original Bach property came off of there, so there's another lot there that's adjacent to the road, plus it's the river bottom. The north parcel was sold off.
Do you think that getting more information is likely to change our feelings about whether or not to approve it tonight, or do we have enough information to approve it tonight?
I think you need to find out how far it goes first and what's underneath there and what, you know.
that was a question. When you started digging for your driveway and all in breaker and everything, when you dug down there, was there any breaker in there at all?
On the end of the road?
Right, where you started digging. Absolutely nothing underneath.
We need to find out what's in there.
They didn't know what breaker was back then.
Right. It was, you dig it out of the ditch, roll it on top, and you start with rotten powder granite on it. And it was that way in 2002 when we had the big flood. There was a profile, I counted on a number of our roads where the water went across. There was 18 to 20 layers. You could count it just like a soil profile. Never good at it.
$1.50 a yard was no problem.
Yep.
You bring in the ground.
What do you wanna do, Gary? You wanna hold off on this one until you get a little more information? You can hold it till next month?
That would probably be the best thing to do.
They're getting it out, they're getting it out fine now, because once they get to the breaker, it's fine. And, you know,
It's holding up.
it's not holding it up, no.
It's not holding up.
It's not holding the process up.
Right, okay.
The building process.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed pretty, you know, for all these years, pretty firm, yeah.
Just hold it till next month. We need a motion for that, Patty.
Need a motion to table it till next month.
Right.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to table that till next month.
I'll second. Any discussion? Let's go.
Bob,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Dave,
Abstain.
Debbie.
Yes. Striping roads? Gary?
Well, I got a call and about striping north of Sion Stat. They couldn't see to drive, and I think they meant to say south of C, because that road is all striped up there. But I did drive around on several of our roads that are on the sheet to get crack sealed, which are the blacktop roads which have striping. And the Riverside Road you live on, that was striped at one time, and how much can you see?
The only striping on there now is crack sealer.
That's it. The road I live on is the same way, Birch on the other side of the highway. And my understanding is by law, once you stripe these roads, they're supposed to stay striped. All right, Man from 97, I'm sorry, Stat from 97 to C is very little on that road. The Birch, I just mentioned, Riverside, and Man from County E to Lincoln, I guess, is ours. There's hardly anything there either. And I think the other roads are probably okay for now. Elm is good here, Galvin going that way. I think we're gonna have to stripe them roads. And that's not cheap.
Just out of curiosity, how much is it? I don't even know.
What was it around here?
5,000 something a mile. To stripe the fog lines and the yellow lines.
Can't we all just get rollers? Go take a walk down the road?
That'd be nice, but no.
That was the number, right, Butch? That guy gave you, about 5,300 a mile?
Well, when I talked to him, it was 3,500 just to do the fog lines, only fog lines. If you want to do the center lines too, it would come up to 5,500 per mile.
Wasn't there a difference in the quality of paint too? And
It
how it lasts?
is a water-based paint, but they do put reflective, things in the paint to make it reflect.
Is there any warranty with that?
It's 1 year.
Yeah.
And then it rains. That's what happened out here, wasn't it?
It all boils down to money. Yep.
I mean, right after the year, didn't it wash away?
Yeah.
It depends on how much you run the line.
Yeah. You wanna put that up for bids, Gary?
Well, I didn't get back to, I didn't discuss this with, I talked a little bit to Butch. But I didn't talk to the rest of the highway committee on it. But that's something we're gonna have to look at. I think we may have to put it out yet, if not this year, next year, to get that done.
I would recommend that it's not in the budget this year.
What's liability if you don't strike it?
I don't know if anybody's been, if there's an authority out there who goes around and says, well, your paint is too bad, you gotta do
Well,
it.
my thing is like if somebody has a crash and they say you striped it before, you didn't stripe it now. I don't know what state law is on that.
I don't either, but like your road and my road, I mean, they're not even a mile.
No.
And to me, I don't know, I guess, why they were ever striped to begin with. I can see you know, these roads going through 3-4 miles or, you know, they're rolling.
Main artery.
But we were told that once they were striped, we're supposed to keep it up. And I know, I drove truck at night, and I know how nice them fog lights are.
I know before we did Galvin, it was bad, I think.
Yeah, we had a lot of complaints when Galvin got redone before they got it striped.
Over the ditching.
Yeah, ditching, ditching, and I brought that up earlier, that there hasn't been much done. A lot of these ditches are filled in, they're not flowing property. And Dave is absolutely right. The biggest problem is they put in these subdivisions and people want to be able to mow their lawn. So they fill the ditches in. Well, the water doesn't run then. The water stays underneath the road. Corner of Birch is a prime example. That ditch on the corner is almost even with the road. The water runs across the road every spring. That water stays underneath your road. That's why that section of the road is terrible compared to if you go further to the north and where that road curves to the east, where they at least have a semblance of a ditch. That road is not nearly as cracked up, and it was all put in at the same time. It runs back into a court, Joe. Keeman, between Birch and, comes out right in front of Belvedere. The road that comes down there, they got that. Yeah.
Is there an ordinance about not about maintaining a ditch, or a homeowner not being able to fill in a ditch, or anything like that?
There's ordinances on filling in ditches and all that good stuff.
The ditches
Just like
are
all that
our
last year, wasn't it?
But we could we go to the homeowner and say you violated the ordinance and you have to pay to dig out the ditch?
We've already done that.
Did that one case on Winterberry.
Yeah, I think you have to.
Yeah.
Dorothy, would it help on some of these if, you know, tile was put in right away, drainage tile from some of these homeowners? You know, if they understood that the ditch is going to be there, and if you tile it, maybe you can get the water away from the road too? I mean, there's got.
We'll experiment with Mr. Swenson's new house, how does that sound?
You don't care, do you, Dave?
My house isn't anywhere near the town.
No,
And I know, you know, I talked to the lady who owns that house on the corner, and I said, I'm gonna get Pat in here and ditch this out. Right now, the culvert is shot. The water is not going through the culvert because it's got a hole about that deep underneath the culvert in the ditch. The water that is getting through must be running either underneath or through the side. I dug all the gravel out of the west end and at least got the water flowing. But we need to start doing some serious ditching. And as I said before, I will not put a hard surface on any road until there's going to be proper drainage in the ditches. It doesn't make sense.
Anything else on any of that?
If anyone disagrees with me, just.
So you're gonna come back with which ones we need done, or just gonna have Pat take go at it, or?
That's what I would like to do.
Yeah.
I mean, he's gonna get that up on Galvin that I talked about earlier, and Lincoln and Mann, where the guy who bought that property and he wants taken care of to eliminate the standing water problems in his fields. And the one over with the cattails in the ditch, I know if that was my property, I would not be happy.
You're talking Penny and St. Joe's?
Yes. and somebody had put a whole bunch of rocks in that culvert. Pat went down there and dug them out. That day we were there looking at it, and the water really started to flow out of there, so I think that that'll help get some of that water coming down, but the cattails are in there so high and everything, it's gotta get ditched to hopefully eliminate that problem once and for all.
Does the township have equipment to do this ditching?
Yes, we do.
Does Pat have the knowledge, does he know how to do that? That wouldn't be a problem?
I understand he knows how to operate it. I haven't seen him, but
I've seen him, he's done a number of projects over the years.
So
But
he
there's
can-
the reason, you know,
Did ours,
is he going to,
did ours, Donnie's.
somebody got a comment?
No, I said he did ours too. Pat did our ditching.
Yeah, yeah. What I was gonna say is, that requires a second person. So and then Ronnie's helped out on that a number of times. He does the hauling, Pat does the ditching. By the time he gets back with the truck for the second load, he's got the next part worked loose
and the guy who owns the land over on Lincoln, he said if he needs help, somebody with a transit or whatever, he'd be willing to come down himself and help.
There's a liability issue there. But
Well, we've got-
the homeowner before, the owner that owned that property before, did it privately, and I think he made the project worse.
Well, what Pat told me was they eliminated waterway that used to run diagonal or across that corner. Now all the water is running down to the end. And just hang on a second before I lose my thought again. The ditching over on Cherry, Don Swenson and the guy who lives next to him,
No relation.
he might not claim you either.
That's fine, he was my man.
Yeah, I know, yeah, Donnie's a good guy. But they feel that their ditch is low in spots, they have water standing. It's not that the water isn't flowing, but there's low spots. And I guess they talked a few years ago with Carolyn and Dave were over there. He wanted to know, he called me and he wanted to know if we would pay for the dirt to bring the ditch in. You know, because the ditches are the township's responsibility. And so he wanted to know if we would pay for the dirt for him to fill in and, or not.
Are they low spots
Yeah, they're low
or high spots?
Low spots.
Well, which is the right height, the higher the low?
You have to fill it in, make it higher.
Which came first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah.
I mean, or can you take some of the dirt and make it all level and not pay for anything?
I was over there and looked and, you know, I'm no engineer or anything. I mean, guys that work with it all the time have a lot better eye probably than I do. Especially when they're 60-some years old. And we don't, I asked Pat if we had any stockpile anywhere, and we didn't, so.
Want the ditches go?
Well, why don't you have, when you get hold of Tom Herringer, have him take a look at that? Or has he in the past, Dave?
I guess not to my knowledge.
Yeah, I would have him take a look at that. Yeah. And see what we actually need over there, if anything. When you get a hold of them, have a list.
Because it starts right there by your property, Jim. So you got a bad spot on yours too, and I was trying to figure out which way the water is supposed to run there. It's to one of them points where, you know, goes this way and then all of a
I
sudden
think we'll,
it's going that way. In Donnie's front yard.
yeah,
I think it is too, between your property and his culvert.
No action at this time, just get that vote on that and
Yeah.
get a hold of Tom and. Okay, next item on the agenda is,
I'm sorry.
Oh, Ronnie?
Stand up. Sorry.
I wanna know how you get water to run on Man, coming off the hill, going west to St. Joe's, when we lasered it out and we had 1 inch of pitch, probably in a mile or half mile. And the DNR was in there and they piped it to the north into the swamp. No pitch on that at all. How do you get water to run 1 inch on half a mile?
Yes, I realize there isn't much pitch there, and I was also trying to figure out why they have one culvert going north and south on the south side of Lincoln, and that's it. There is not a culvert on, until up the road quite a ways. There isn't a culvert underneath of Lincoln at all on that corner.
I know.
His main concern is further up on Man to the east, because he wants to put a culvert in up there, so that's why he wants that ditch down. Yeah, you're absolutely right, and that's like going over by Winterberry is the same thing. There's, they got water problems over there, it's no place for the water to run, it's just too flat. But we can do the best we can do with the situation we got.
And you can't get it to run north because the DNR will not let you run north into the swamp. That's the rule.
anything else? Okay. Next item on the agenda is the picnic. So before we go into too much, it's in our ordinances. Right here. I want to show you that we can have a picnic, and the town should be supplying it. We can have a band too, it even says so.
Do we really need a picnic though? Well, there's been so many things listed here today for money could be used, and it's so close to Fall Fest.
It doesn't hurt Fall Fest at all, because I actually got the numbers for the last 4 years. And the profit in 2015 was $7,757. 16 was $9,870. 17 was $10,397, and 18 was $12,116. So the community picnic has not hurt Fall Festival at all.
But it costs, what, about $2,500 for the picnic?
Well, that's what it did.
The
And
only
I'd
thing I
like to
remember
propose
is-
that we have this on the 18th of August and take 3,000 out of the park fund to have this. Any discussion?
So last year we had prizes and so forth, are
Yeah.
you proposing to do that again?
Yeah, we've already got people donating.
Do we have a permit this time?
We don't need a permit because we aren't selling anything.
If you're giving things away in a lottery sort of a system, you need a permit.
Not according to the state. It's not a lottery.
Are you selling, you're selling raffle tickets?
No, we are not. We're not selling anything.
Dog prizes?
Pardon?
Like dog prizes?
Right, they come in and sign up and that's it. According to the state auditor, you don't need a license or permit for any of that. Or liquor license, because we're not selling liquor.
They have prizes for different age groups, you know, some for.
Bicycles for little ones and that type of thing.
I think we should be looking for fundraisers, not opportunities to spend funds that we don't have, especially this year.
$20 on the cell phone.
There you go. Hey, I got a comment I'd like to make. You guys worry about the $3,000 that's gonna go for this picnic, it's for the residents of McMillan. Yet you guys as a board have no qualms about Carolyn spending $30,000 on an attorney for herself for 1 year. Let that sink in. Let that sink in.
We're not gonna turn this into
Let's
an
say
argument.
the truth about those $30,000 from that lawyer, and I have a word from the district attorney's office.
I can't understand, I'm sorry, my hearing is bad.
Okay, it's the district attorney's office that told me that those $30,000 were spent because this community needed education. It was not for Carolyn's purpose.
Yeah.
It was for
Okay,
the
who did
education.
she order?
That's the first time I got to do that. Of course, it's only my second meeting.
Well, anyhow, let it sink in.
I have a question. Have we always had a picnic? I don't
We
know.
have for 2 years.
For what?
For the last 2
For the
years.
last couple
we
of
have.
years?
Yeah,
They used to, quite a few years back.
years ago they
Then
did.
Kind of got away from it and then went back
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah. We had a good turnout the first year, last year we got rained on and our advertising newsletter didn't get out early enough and hopefully we'll have a good turnout this year. So I am going to make a motion to have our picnic on August 18th and I need a second on that, please.
You already have a motion. August 18th and 3,000 from the park fund
Okay.
to,
But I need a second yet?
correct.
I'll second that.
Any discussions?
Last year I made the statement, I don't care if you have a picnic, don't have it in July or August just before the Fall Fest. I think it affects that.
It doesn't.
I think
Here's
it
the numbers.
affects that.
You can't prove that it
Bad or
doesn't
different.
affect it.
Here's your numbers.
I wrote them down when you're,
Okay. So that
and I
doesn't
said
impact the
last
profits
year,
of anything.
I don't have a problem with a picnic if you have it in June or early July,
Mhm.
but not in August.
I had the same comment last year.
Yes, okay, did you?
Is there a reason we can't make it earlier?
Well, it'd be kind of late to do that now.
You had a year to decide. It was my feeling last year. I said I didn't have
I
a
went
problem
on
with
the
it.
board.
You were here though. You were part of the picnic, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And what did you guys do for the budget this last year? You wouldn't even put it in there. Am I correct? And
I
according to
was
our
part of the board,
ordinances,
and the board decided not to.
I don't think that was a whole board decision to my memory.
That's a matter of opinion.
Roll call
Madam
vote,
Chairman.
please.
There was a,
Oh, Ryan?
He's raising his hand.
Oh.
I'm with Dave, what Dave said about having it earlier in the summer, it may, because I feel it affects the crowds at the Fall Fest and also the giving for the prizes and so forth. I think we're gonna have to do it again and just not.
So we haven't watched, the only people I believe that were, asked for 2 donations was Clyde Whittier. He was asked for one for the Fall Fest and we asked for a small one for the picnic. That was it, otherwise we have not,
We don't go door to door.
no. We have not went door to door asking for donations from anybody. Yes.
Can we refer only to the profits over years of the Fall Fest to measure the effect of the picnic on the Fall Fest, or are there other measures of how many people attended or other?
Well, this is, like we said, we're just starting. We had, what, about 150 the first year? And I think around 125 the second year, something like that. So,
we didn't have a real good day last.
well, we got rained on. What's that?
If you got rained on, it's gonna affect your numbers.
Right, and we did, we got poured on last year.
And the picnic is, the purpose is bring a dish to pass. The town provides the meat and the beverage. Beverage is either water or pop.
I think we had a half barrel root beer last
Yeah,
year.
root beer was,
Yeah.
but it's, and the people that have come, it's not a political thing, it's just so
They
people
really
go
do
in
enjoy
there.
it.
Fall Fest is not political.
I
Kids
mean,
have a
if you
good
don't wanna come, you don't have to come.
Fall
That's
Fest
kind of-
is more for outside people.
Yes,
My understanding is that you wanna spend $2,500.
no, I wanted up to 3,000
Oh,
to take it out of the park fund right at this
but
point.
for that's for the food, which is only meat and beverages.
Right,
So if
and
there's
then we buy
150
prizes also.
If there's 150 people, that's an average of $10 per person. What
And
kind of
we-
meat are you providing?
Well, hamburgers, brats, and hot dogs is what we provided, but we didn't use all of it last year because it was slower, so we actually sold it to the people and brought the money back to the community. Put it back, so that's what we did.
Hey Deborah, also, a lot of the money goes toward giveaways.
For kids, we
And-
bought a lot of bicycles and,
I thought those were donated.
Yeah, obviously.
no, there are a lot of prizes donated, but we do buy some. Call it.
Bob,
No.
Russ,
No.
Gary,
Yes.
Dave,
No.
Debbie?
Yes. Okay, then we're
I would,
looking at,
I can make a motion, I'm in favor of moving it up more. That's Fair Week. And, a lot of things going on. I'm nothing against the picnic, but 2 or 3 weeks a little earlier, I think would make everybody a little happier. And, you know,
to July, so for next month.
end of July or whatever, something like that.
Is the pavilion open?
Good question. Let me see.
I believe she's got a schedule. You got it on yours?
The fair days, all I hope I can get.
I know where the book is. I know where the book is. Usually there's one. Yeah, there's, I can't even, there's a calendar on here.
Yeah, we have all the Sundays open. So if we went like is there, what's big going on, like the 21st of July? Anything? Because we'd like to have it on a Sunday afternoon. Or the 28th of July. Got anything?
I got other things.
Oh,
Nice.
Russ, we have,
That's fine with me, you know.
you want to make a motion
Yes,
to,
I'll make a motion that we have the picnic, move the date up to the 21st of July.
I'll second
Or
that.
28th, or was it 20th?
21st or 28th, either one is open.
28th.
Okay, 28th. I'll second that.
What's your question?
Bob,
Abstain.
Russ,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Dave,
No.
Debbie?
Yes. Okay, and the next agenda item is opening the pavilion. Dorothy approached me and asked me if we could open up the pavilion once a week just for community to get together. Wouldn't cost anything. We'll take care of the cleanup. Any objections to any of that? Do it on a what, Tuesday night, you said?
Just open up, people wanna come play cards and talk to Hank Zimmerman, he thought he'd like to come down, people would like to, it's not just a place for rentals. It wasn't built for just rentals on the weekends, it was built for the community. I do see a couple families come and play with their kids during the week, but it's for everybody. That building should be opened up for people to come and just sit, talk.
And just go through the summer months and open it up once a week, Tuesday or Wednesday night. Do we need a motion for that?
It's actually open.
Well, I mean, they want to
Right,
open
we
it
want to
up,
be able to,
you know.
so that people know, I mean, the back door's open, but,
That's for bathroom use.
right. But so that the public knows that this is the community's park.
Pardon?
You put it in the newsletter, right, that it's open and you can go
Well,
and
and
use
let
it.
people know before that.
We'd like to, you know, limit it to one night where it's open to the public so that we can get it cleaned up or whatever. Do we need a motion for that? I'll make a motion to open the pavilion Tuesday or Wednesday night through the summer, beginning this next week. Need a second. Or this week.
No.
Can I get a second on that, please?
I'll say.
Any discussion?
Bob,
Yes?
Russ,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Dave,
Abstain.
Debbie.
Yes. Okay, and deposit for the rental. We had an issue a couple of weeks ago when we had 2 inches of rain and they couldn't get the grass mowed. And we had one of the renters go in and actually scalp the lawn completely. And I called him and asked him if he would come over and clean up the mess that he left. And he refused. So I asked him 3 times if he would come over and clean that up. So we ended up having to hire somebody to clean it up. So I had told Tanya to uphold his deposit for the rental, which she did, and also we didn't get the key back for it either from them. They said they returned it, but we didn't get it. And that was for Don Podolsky. So I need a motion on whether or not you want to give him his deposit back.
Move to return his deposit.
Second.
Bob,
Yes.
Russ,
What was the motion? I'm sorry.
to return the deposit. Give him his deposit back.
I'd like to talk about
Well, any discussion?
that before we vote. I guess I look at it this way. First off, he had no business going up there and creating a mess. It would be no worse than people renting and leaving a mess. We don't give the deposit back to them. I don't feel we should give it back.
I took pictures.
I saw it.
Yeah.
What happened?
He went over and he mowed the lawn because.
Oh, he mowed it himself.
He mowed it himself.
And, I mean, there were spots, he had it set so low, where he actually was into the dirt.
And mowing.
I hope he doesn't mow his home lawn that way.
Depends on how much you want the grass to grow.
But we ended up having to pay to have somebody come out and rake it and actually haul that all away. We had a trailer load full of grass.
Well, I heard the other side of the story. You want it?
Let's hear it.
I already heard it.
I'd like to hear it.
Okay. Then you don't need to hear it.
I'd like to hear it.
Let's hear it.
He was mad because we couldn't mow it on Friday. They had been mowing through water. And I had instructed them not to mow through the water. He chose to go in and do it himself.
What did you hear?
And that was Friday, I had instructed them not to because we just had 2 inches of rain, and Sunday morning he mowed. So, and we got another 2 inches on top of it.
Was it rented on Saturday?
Yes, it was,
So it was rented on Saturday.
so you can't go in and mow that either.
I came up here and I went to church on Sunday morning at 8:15. I saw a strange car going through the mailboxes at the corner. I backed up, and it happened to be his daughter, looking for a key for the pavilion, which was not provided. I said, I'm sure it's probably up in the other mailbox up
Right.
there.
Well, they said they got the key.
Okay. He was not able to get, he rented it for 300 people. There were 2 graduation parties together. You can't put 300 people in a building.
Okay.
He wanted, they had wanted to use the lawn for yard games, and he said you couldn't use any yard games without the grass being mowed, so he took it upon himself to do it on his own. He cleaned up what, my understanding is he cleaned up the back part, but he didn't clean up the front, he windrowed it.
No, he didn't clean the back part either.
There's-
I got pictures to show you.
I don't need to see the picture.
And there was grass all over the windows back there.
My motion was to return his deposit and get the damn place cleaned up.
It's cleaned up.
And who cleaned it up?
Landscaping.
And how is he related to you?
He's my son.
Okay.
Oh, come on, Dave.
Well, I
Jesus
called John and I
Christ.
asked him 3 times if he would come over and clean this up, or we would have to pay to have it done.
I'm just stating what I heard.
What, that he's my son? You knew this.
You have to be really careful about supervising buildings and grounds and having your son, be the one to clean up the buildings and grounds.
Well, he's got the contract with the town for another year.
I think that's a potential conflict of interest.
I didn't vote on it.
You replaced the supervisor who was in charge of buildings and grounds with yourself this year.
Yes, I did. And I was also in charge of buildings and grounds when the board hired him.
It's really kind of amazing, Deb, that at the Real Library, when we had a discussion, we were to kumbaya moment here. Everybody was supposed to get along and be nice to each other. That isn't happening, is it?
I don't know why you figure, I'm asking, do we need to return his deposit or not? I called the guy, I went through the process of saying, can you come over and clean up the mess that you left? I asked him 3 times that day on the phone. I gave him every opportunity to come over and clean it up. I didn't ask him to mow it. He
My
didn't call me.
motion, Madam Chairman, was to return his deposit.
Okay,
Are we
let's
gonna
do
have
a
action
roll
on
call
it?
vote on that.
Bob,
Yes.
Russ,
Nope.
Gary,
Nope.
Dave,
Yes.
Debbie,
No. The DNR grant, Rod called me, they wanted to apply for the DNR grant, which is the 50/50.
Did he have any numbers for you guys?
No, he didn't give me any numbers at all.
Alright, so what we're going to apply for permission, 5 fire resistant coats, 5 fire resistant hoods, backpack pump liners, 1 hose adapter, 3 hose adapters, and then 4 Motorola APX 900 portable radio. That total, the grand total would be $7,153.86. Our share of that, the half of that would be $3,576.93.
Repeat those numbers for me, please.
Sure. The total with the radios, $7,153.86. Our share, our half of it, would be $3,576.93. And we have applied in the past for radios that were denied. So if you say radio got denied and they just approved the coats and the hose adapter and the pump can liner, that total would come to $1,094.02. And our share of that would be $547.01.
I'll make a motion to approve the DNR grant? To approve to apply for the DNR grant.
I'll second that.
He gave you two options, right?
Yeah.
For both of them. That's, I'm assuming that's what you plan on doing?
Yeah, we're planning on applying for with the radios, but like I said, in the past, we were denied the radios, but everything else went through for the approval. So we're gonna try it again this year.
Doesn't necessarily mean we'll get it.
No.
It's all available, whatever's available.
Dave, you second?
Yes.
Any discussion?
Didn't they just buy all them coats and stuff?
Well, every year we buy a few.
When they bought all the new gear?
For,
What's the difference between the years?
this is for wildland, so for in July through August, we're in wildland season. It's a lighter garment, but it provides fire protection when we're out in the field. It's not the same as the structural firefighting gear that we use on regular calls. And these last five will get us up to date so everybody has adequate equipment.
Bob?
Yes.
Russ?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Debbie?
Yes. Next item is keys for the fire station. I've been requesting board members to get keys to the back door of the fire station. And I'd like to make a motion to get those keys from the fire station. Get a copy made. I need a second on that, please.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
So who are you proposing to get keys for? To the fire
Board
station?
members,
Just board members?
just board members, for those of them who are.
I don't feel like I need one. What's the purpose of this?
In case we need to get into the building.
I would think only firefighters need to get into the building. You got all sorts of expensive equipment, you've got oxygen tanks. It seems like it's a liability issue if you suddenly make more access. You've got medications in there. You know, the firefighters, I'm sure, would be happy to give a tour or let people in, demonstrate the equipment, show the equipment. I just don't see a need for it. And I think it's opening up liability.
Is there any state regulations on it about who can access it or not access it?
No.
I beg to differ.
What are they?
I talked to the individual that inspects the fire department records
Who's that?
in Green Bay. I'll give you his name and number. And he said under no circumstances should the public or board members, because of liability issues. The other one we have to check with is our insurance company. And he said most insurance companies will not give that authority to individuals, other than members in the department. I don't have a problem opening up a door for anybody that sits on this board anytime.
Dave, we didn't even get ice last year, it was late.
That still opens up the door to liability issues. Now, he told me the pockets wouldn't be deep enough if there was a liability issue. If somebody even turned a knob on an SCBA or did something to a truck or inadvertently did something. Now, if you want to take that risk, that's up to you.
Well, I think we could take the risk because you're looking at 5 board members compared to, how many 18-year-olds do we have over on the?
Doesn't matter. If
I
an
asked Adam
18-year-old
a
is
question.
qualified and can drive a truck and is getting
We're not-
training,
but
why
they
do
were
I
not-
pick the 18-year-old? Don't pick on him. That's the future
I'm
of
not
that
picking
department.
on the 18-year-olds, I'm just saying, there's 18-year-olds that has access to that building. We have a
And they're-
board that's responsible for that building,
I'll agree with that.
okay? Nobody wants anything out of their day.
Then why is there an access
You wanna
question?
bet?
Why is there an access question?
What do you mean you wanna bet, Roddy?
Because there's too many people over there that wanna take stuff out of that department.
Like what?
I was in there for 31 years, and you wouldn't believe the stuff that disappeared.
Yeah.
Well, obviously it wasn't from a board member, because they didn't have a key.
Somebody did.
Sounds like dishonest fireman to me.
What,
Well, I didn't
what's
see
the
you
purpose
in
of
it.
the access? I don't
In
understand.
case you gotta get illegal lights on sometimes.
Think I'm pretty good.
How was that?
What's
Well,
the-
I'll tell you what, the other day, what was it, George, 2 weeks ago, we went out for dinner, and we come driving up Galvin, and the security issue evidently is such a liability, the back door was hanging open, there were no vehicles here, I pulled around the fire station, I went inside, I hollered, there were no lights on, so I locked the door.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What's that have to do with access? I'm confused.
Well, now, just for instance, last year, we wanted to get ice out of the ice machine just for the picnic, and
Okay.
we couldn't get in to even get that.
Okay. Well,
It's not a huge issue, it's not a major issue.
it's from someone who handled municipal governmental claims
Mhm.
as a job, I will tell you it's an issue. Because you've got, and you have meds, you've got HIPAA-related information in there that's
We're not
private.
asking to get into their
But
offices.
you have stuff in there, meds, HIPAA, other things, computers, that can potentially create a liability for you. And I think Dave's right, I would talk to your agent, who will talk to the underwriter, who underwrites your policy to tell you who they think should and should not have access. It potentially is a problem. I'd also talk to the municipal attorney, which I'm kind of surprised you guys don't have one here for your meetings. Because you
Well, that's
should.
not happening.
Well, you should have an attorney here for your meetings. I've never seen a town operate a meeting without an attorney ever. And I've literally been at hundreds of them. And I've never
Didn't
seen
budget
it
for
happen.
it.
So,
Because it was
We
but,
didn't have it in there before that either.
but yeah, it's highly unusual, not for you guys, I mean, you should have access to somebody who can tell you legal things when you're making decisions. I mean,
Well, I'm gonna make a motion to table that until I contact the necessary people.
You already have a motion and a second on the table to get the keys.
Okay.
I wanna make a
And
comment.
then I wanna amend it.
I want to make a comment about the liability issue.
mhm.
A few years ago, I brought it up. Is that not a liability issue when the kids are climbing all over the fire department equipment when they're having their fall fest? Nobody worried about that. And I think you would have a lot more
It's a totally
chance of
different,
somebody getting hurt.
it's a totally different liability issue. It's not, you're not talking apples and oranges. You're talking apples and oranges, not apples and apples. It's a totally different issue.
It's still a liability.
You can potentially have a liability issue. It depends on how the children are being supervised, how much supervision you have for the amount of people you've got on the equipment or around the equipment. I mean, people bring in helicopters, they land helicopters, they give tours, let people get in and out of the medical helicopters, but they also have a certain amount of supervision to conduct that activity. The liability we're talking about for access, unfettered access, is different than the liability you talk about for an event like you would have over there. Now, can somebody fall off and have a liability issue? You are correct. You can. But it comes back to how you're supervising that activity, or if you're not supervising the activity. But it's two different things. Both involve liability.
I'll get a hold of the insurance company.
Corey.
Yeah, Marshall Insurance. And then I want the, phone number for the guy you called. Yes,
Do the board members have access to the highway department buildings?
yes, we do.
Okay.
We do not.
So I'd like to withdraw my motion at this time.
Ron's got his hand up.
Yeah,
Now, you talk about liability. For the Fall Fest, we have a different policy just for Fall Fest over the regular department. So, like the man says, for Fall Fest, it has a special type of liability coverage.
Yeah, we pay for insurance for specifically for one day for over there.
First
There
event
you go.
coverage.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And my understanding is that it hasn't gone against Fall Fest.
No, we owned it, we picked it up, it hasn't come out of their expenses.
You know, every dime that's raised for Fall Festival is donated back to the community, it doesn't come out of your taxpayers' dollars pocket,
Right.
Yeah, that coverage is a good investment.
so.
It's probably relatively inexpensive.
It was, I believe this last year, $667. For this coming year, that's what the insurance is for the one day. And with the fireworks there,
That's how much?
$667, I think is what it is for the one day. Am I right on that, Dave? I think it's pretty close, because I think Corey was talking about that for the renewal. Okay, correspondence, you got anything? Anybody? Need a motion to adjourn? Second? All in favor?
Oh,